Thank you, Holly Cairns. Minister, we're in a housing emergency and the government's housing policy is a disaster. Almost 12,000 people, including over 3,300 children, are now living in emergency accommodation. Rents are skyrocketing, up 13.7% in 2022. At the same time, the Housing Minister has failed to spend over £1 billion from his capital budget. The government is in denial. You're ignoring the homelessness figures, the regular protests, and even the warnings from employers. The government is refusing to treat this situation as an emergency, because that would involve admitting that Fianna Fáil, Fine Gael and the Green Party have utterly failed to address the housing disaster. The real barrier to taking immediate and effective action, it seems, is the government's pride. Despite all of the evidence of missed targets and unspent budgets, you refuse to admit that your plan isn't working. Thousands of children, families and workers are paying the price of that failure, and there's no end in sight. Minister, our motion today is about one simple action that you can take today. A single policy intervention that would make a substantial difference to families desperately looking for a home in our cities, towns and villages. Implement a credible vacant homes tax with teeth. The Social Democrats have consistently called for this. The current tax is tokenistic. It is a derisory 0.3%. The government's tax is not designed to get empty homes back into use. It is designed to maintain the status quo. More than 100,000 vacant homes sitting idle across the country. At a time when house prices are increasing in value by an average of 7.8% annually, a 0.3% tax on vacant sites is so low it's actually laughable. The average value of a house in 2022, Holly Cairns, was $359,000. So last year, the average vacant home increased in value by a whopping €28,000. Compare this figure with the charge imposed by the government's vacant homes tax, a little over €1,000. So a net gain of €27,000 for those who decide to leave the homes vacant. And you want people to believe that you think that this is somehow an incentive to compel property owners to bring vacant homes back into use. At a time when 3,300 children are homeless, this level of inaction is morally reprehensible. Why is the government facilitating it? Imagine the difference it would make if tens of thousands of vacant homes and apartments all over the country were made available to families. Making use of unoccupied homes makes economic, social and environmental sense. The quickest way to deliver housing would provide huge benefits to both families and communities. I think the most frustrating aspect of all of this is that the government claims to agree in principle. You're just not willing to act with the level of intensity and scale that is needed. This summarises the failed approach of government and previous Fine Gael governments when it comes to housing. Lacking ambition, lacking action, lacking intensity, lacking credibility, lacking results. Fine Gael have been promising a tax on vacant homes since 2017. This government finally introduced that tax this year, but set the tax so low that it makes no real difference. A tax with real teeth is needed to incentivise the owners of vacant homes to use them, rent them or sell them. 10% might seem high, but this is an emergency measure to respond to an unprecedented crisis. The existing exemptions would remain for cases such as the home being empty, by the owner being in long-term care, or if the home is in probate, or for farm buildings that are derelict. This is the type of intervention a responsible government should take. It's the type of intervention the Social Democrats would make in government. There is a clear need for a targeted and specific measure to address the scourge of vacancy and help alleviate the housing disaster. That is what we are proposing. Why is the government unwilling to act? The housing crisis is the single biggest issue facing the country currently. It impacts on every aspect of people's lives. It affects physical and mental health, has negative consequences for employment. But where is the urgency? Where are the interventions to really encourage those sitting on vacant properties to rent them or sell them. The government's vacant homes tax is designed to pretend. It's a policy designed to give the illusion of action. That's all it is, an illusion. We need effective measures that will result in homes for the tens of thousands of workers and families who need them, and we need these policies to deliver these homes rapidly. There is a massive stock of vacant homes that could be unlocked if the government was willing to act. Clearly, they are not.